Hi. I don't know if anyone else is going to join me today because this is kind of spur of the moment. So, let's see. I just thought I would talk a little bit about my backing method again. I use mat board, and I'm trying to convert everybody who uses glue because I'm so afraid of my own hoops and my collection because I don't know. I'm not always organized and I don't really have a space to hang them all right now, and I'm just afraid I'm gonna set them down and it's gonna get some sort of pucker or something, get stretched out a little bit, and I won't be able to fix it. And I'm just really trying to plan ahead. And so anyway, when I was trying to come up with a backing method, I wanted one that you could take apart, you could restretch, you could wash it if you needed to, or just whatever. So I started playing around, and I have access to a frame shop where we have lots of mat board. I came up with this technique, and hopefully it'll help you. So I'm gonna turn the camera down here and see if this will work. Okay, let's try that. So I would advise going to your local frame shop, not a big one like Michael's because I don't think they're very cooperative, but any small town frame shop, every mat that they cut, there's a drop, or this has straight edges, so it's an offcut from a bigger piece. But they have tons of scraps, and some of them even give them away. But yeah, take them brownies, make friends with them, take them flowers, do something. I'm getting the feeling that the hardest part about this method is just getting your hands on the materials. But once you have that, I can't tell if this is centered up or not. Once you have the mat board, it's relatively easy. So another trick that I found is that before I even take a hoop apart, I mark it. I don't know if you can see this inside here, but it just saves me a lot of time because as soon as I take this hoop apart, you know as well as I do, as soon as you turn it around, then a lot of times there will be gaps. This one's actually pretty good, but it just seems like if it's not lined up the way that it was made, the fabric can't be pulled as taut. So this is just to save myself time. I do that. You want to take and stretch your hoop. I'm right-handed, so I like my hardware on the right-hand side. So whichever side would be your front of the hoop, that's the side you want facing up, and then the color obviously you want facing towards the back so it will show. And then you just take and trace it really carefully. And then also, I always make a little orientation mark here at the top, so that way you can line it up, because every hoop is different, shaped differently, and that way it will give you a very snug fit, which I prefer. It doesn't have to be this perfect. It will still work, but for me, I like the fabric to be a little reinforced and snug. So these are just normal scissors. They're pretty hefty, but I think the trick, since this material is so heavy, and these are getting dull actually, but the only trick that I have is just to kind of slowly work your way in. And then I'm gonna start cutting. I'm trying to do it so you can see it. I'm gonna cut just inside this line to accommodate for any thickness of the fabric. So I'm just barely gonna come inside this line. And I'm sorry if you can't see this very well. I'm trying. I need to remember to keep this at the top. Okay. I admire those who can stitch their hoops because that is a really good method as well from a conservation standpoint. With picture framing, the nice thing about, you learn about conservation and how to make things last over time And so that's another concern I had too, is just with lots of glue and stuff, you just don't know how it's gonna do over time. Whereas mat board, this is made out of usually like a solid cotton core if it's a white core, and it is truly acid free. Some of the cheaper mat boards will have more of a gray bevel, like the interior of it will be more gray, but even those are like buffered, and so over time it shouldn't yellow your fabric, you know. So just kind of cut this out. But then as soon as you kind of cut it out, you're basically done. Okay. So we're gonna pretend like the one I just cut out, I'm gonna swap out hoops here, just so you can see. So you've got your stretched hoop. And if there's any questions, give me a second until I get to the end and then I can see them. So you have your stretched hoop. So I just flip it around. And obviously the fabric would normally be, you know, all out like this. So you just flip it all in. And the first time it's a little bit tricky, you know, you just got to start stuffing it in. But here I've got my register mark that I know goes at the top of the hoop. So I start from the bottom. I get this kind of lined up because I usually don't sign it till after. So I just kind of peek, make sure I'm kind of lined up, and put this back part in. And then I'll take some little tiny scissors, and they're kind of helpful for if there's any little like puckers that you're trying to get inside. And then I think this is a little off. Okay. And then you can start to kind of press this in. And I don't press it all the way back. I usually only press it halfway back. If you press it too far forward, it can start to show a little like texture around the edge. And I wanted to show you something with this one because I don't work much with white backgrounds, but I know that a lot of you do. And so one other little tip that I have is after you cut out your round for a white hoop, you can see once it gets in there, you'll get some texture, and you can also see the edge of the fabric underneath. So to prevent that, all I do is I use this circle and just cut out another one. I think this is like a Pellon sew-in fleece, or you can get like a pure and natural, just anything that's thin felt is fine, of course. So I just take and put this in like this. And if I had been smart, I would have kept it. Usually I keep it right with this circle, so I know it's exactly right, but I don't think it matters too much. And proceed as normal. There's my mark. And a lot of times if I'm doing more than one hoop too, I'll put like a 1 and a 1, so each circle I know I can match it up easily with each hoop. That just makes things a little bit smoother. And I'm gonna fit this in here. Just like this. I wish I could channel, I don't know if any of you follow Chris Crocker. He's kind of a local celebrity around here. He was one of the first YouTube celebrities. He did like Leave Britney Alone. And he has this character named Iris that I think she's hilarious. And she's like, oh, isn't it marvelous, darling? It's just marvelous. You have to go check it out. So anyway, let me see if I can flip this back up now. Hi. So if anybody, let me flip back and see if there's any questions. If anybody has any questions, just holler at me right now. You can DM me. As long as I don't get like swamped with requests, I could start a list. If you need mat boards, if you absolutely cannot find any, I know you can order some online. It comes in a standard size sheet. It's like 32 by 40, which is really big, obviously. But try to get scraps. There's so many scraps. Next time I'm in the frame shop, I'll have to show you. There's just like boxes and boxes of offcuts and pieces and all of that. And I know every frame shop, unless they're just chucking it, in which case, go look in the dumpster. I don't know. So there's got to be some way for us stitchers to get our hands on this mat board more readily. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. And it's nice too, because then if you stamp or whatever, you can stamp on the back, sign on the back. I just obviously stick my little stuff on there. So anyway, yeah, the fabric can show through. Anyway, unless there's any more questions, I'll wrap this up. Let me look at my list and see if there's anything I forgot. I don't think there is. So anyway, I'll show you a little bit of my room. I just finished the rest of my paint by number wall, and there's my hoop collection over there. And here's some of the setup for the flat lay. I'm still kind of obviously stitching on that hoop. I'm gonna finish stitching it so I can join in. I don't know if you've been checking out the hashtag I did not stitch like this and Life Heavily Filtered, but it's been really good for some laughs this weekend. Shelly Sells Lemonade, actually, I should have asked her to join me. She's doing a giveaway, and she has some DMZ stitch kits, like little patterns that you just like cut out and put on, and it comes with the thread and the needle and everything that are really cool. She's giving away in some of her patterns. So anyway, hope this was helpful. Holler at me if you have a question. Thanks.